Good morning, distinguished guests, members of the faculty, and our beloved attendees. Welcome to the second day of Conventus 2023, the annual management conclave of the International Management Institute, New Delhi. Disruptors don't have to discover something new. They just have to discover a practical use for their discoveries. The current business landscape is volatile and businesses need to adapt to variations that may have a significant impact on their operations. Through Conventus'23, we seek to discover how organizations achieve this in the dynamic business environment they are operating in.
My fellow compere Khushbu and I, Soumya, shall take you through the Operation Summit of Conventus 2023. This year, Conventus is structured around the theme Embracing the Winds of Change, rapid, unpredictable, profound, and transformative. We find ourselves in an era of accelerating disruption, where the acronym itself encapsulates the sense of unexpected upheaval and ruptures affecting both organizations and societies. These abrupt shifts can disturb established norms and strategies. Businesses today do not have the luxury of time in the face of tumultuous development. If they do not change in the face of these difficulties, transformation can still take place, but with someone else in charge. By embracing a holistic approach that combines reducing ambiguity and fosters a culture of innovations, organizations can become better prepared to steer through the challenges and position themselves for long-term success. Consequently, this commitment to continuously improve in processes will ensure this sustained success in the dynamic business environment. Before we proceed further, we would like to play the Conventus 2023 theme video.
The pages of history remind us of the reality that our world can swiftly change its course. Events like pandemics, economic shifts, and unexpected crises echo through the fabric of time. Like a ripple effect, the consequences of these events rapidly reshape the present, creating the perfect chance to gear up and pave the way for an unforeseen future. Adapting to the RUPT paradigm that signifies rapid, unpredictable, profound, and transformative is essential to tread the waters where constant change is the norm. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, businesses that skillfully surf such changing tides, using hurdles as stepping stones and transform challenges into opportunities, emerge triumphant. To learn from their success, we must reflect on their experiences and grasp what sets them apart.
Before we begin with the discussions, we would like to give a brief introduction to our esteemed speakers. We are pleased to introduce our first panelist, who is a remarkable individual, leaving an indelible mark globally, having more than 30 years of experience in supply chain management. He is a Bean Mechanical and holds a certified Six Sigma belt, having worked with some of the industry giants like LG Electronics, Motorola, and Samsung Electronics. His relentless pursuit of perfection has garnered him prestigious accolades such as the Great Manager Award and Frost & Sullivan Manufacturing Excellence Award. He is currently working with Luminous Power Technologies as Senior Vice President of Manufacturing and Global Supply Chain. Please welcome Mr. Rajiv Ganju. We request Professor Harish Rao to felicitate Mr. Rajiv Ganju.
Our next panel is someone who brings immense industrial and leadership experience in logistics, operations, and supply chain management spanning over 35 years. After earning his MBA in supply chain management and retail operations from Sikkim Manipal University, he has been a significant part of Mariki organizations as the National Planning and Distributions Manager at Hindustan Unilever, General Manager of Logistics at Bharti Walmart, and Vice President and Advisor of Logistics and Supply Chain at Samsung India Electronics. We request Professor Harish Rao to felicitate Mr. K.G. Raghuraman. We welcome you, sir. Our next panelist, Mr. Vineet Parwal, is a distinguished supply chain professional with over 16 years of experience, currently holding the position of Associate Director at PwC. A management graduate from Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Pune, Mr. Vineet Parwal has garnered a plethora of experiences in the fields of supply chain management, operations, and manufacturing, expanding across organizations like Snapdeal, Britannia, HP, and Sleepy Cat. Mr. Vineet Parwal has provided competitive advantage to business units in areas such as manufacturing, resource planning, supply planning, procurement, network design, and logistics planning. We request Professor Harish Rao to felicitate Mr. Vineet Parwal. We welcome you, sir. Our next panelist is Mr. Daman Sood, a seasoned professional with over 38 years of industry experience, specializing in resilience. He is a certified international and corporate trainer with an impressive more than 14,000 hours of teaching and training under his belt. Daman sir holds 12 copyrights and has authored 5 books on resilience. He has designed over 40 courses for renowned organizations, worked with global giants, and won numerous global awards. Currently, he serves as Director DBD Training and Consultancy, where he excels as an international resilience trainer and consultant. We request Professor Harish Rao to felicitate Mr. Daman Dev Sood. We welcome you, sir.
Allow me to introduce our event's distinguished moderator, Professor Harish Rao. He serves as an assistant professor at International Management Institute, New Delhi, with a PhD in Operations Management and Operations Research from IIM Ahmedabad. Prior to his tenure at the institute, Professor Rao held the role of scientific officer at the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited from 2002 to 2007, overseeing the commissioning of nuclear power plants in Karnataka. With over a decade of teaching experience spanning over various disciplines, he excels in operations management and quantitative technique. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir. We would like our club secretary, Ms. Sameera Arora, to felicitate Professor Harish Rao.
Let's discuss the topic that is not just relevant but absolutely crucial in our ever-evolving business landscape: defining the future of business, transforming operations for the next leap in value creation. Value creation lies in the essence of maximum utilization of innovation and change simultaneously in a corporate world that is volatile to the slightest variations. It's about providing more than just products or services. It's about delivering solutions that meet and exceed the evolving needs of our customers, stakeholders, and society as a whole. Technology, globalization, environmental concerns, and shifting consumer expectations are consistently affecting the business world. Hence, adaptability and innovation must become part of our norms. So, how do we ensure that our businesses not only survive but also thrive in this dynamic environment? Firstly, embracing technology is non-negotiable. Automation, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and digital platforms are reshaping industries. By integrating these tools into our operations, we can enhance efficiency, minimize errors, and offer personalized experiences to our customers.
Sustainability is now a necessity given climate change and environmental concerns. Organizations must adopt sustainable practices to show responsibility. Additionally, globalization emphasizes collaboration for diverse expertise, resource sharing, and strength leveraging. In conclusion, shaping the future of business means seizing opportunity amid rapid change. Transformation in operations is crucial for enhanced value creation, necessitating technological proficiency, environmental responsibility, consistent collaboration, and relentless innovation. The road ahead may be uncertain, but by embarking on this transformative journey, we can not only secure the future of our businesses, but also make a positive impact on the world. Let us embrace this challenge with open minds and unwavering determination. Together, we can define the future of business created by the operational transformation that led to value creation. To understand the theme better, Let us have a look at the Operation Summit theme video. Now, we request Professor Harish Rao, the moderator for this session, to take over the proceedings.
Hi, thank you, the operations team, for this lovely introduction to this topic. If we can start, right? So, like I've been always telling my students as well over the many years of teaching here, operations is basically about getting things done. That is the most grounded part of operations. But if you look at the history, it is about value creation as well, right? So to understand the future, because it's about understanding how the ops will transform our businesses in the future, to understand the future, we must be able to appreciate the past. And here we have four luminaries who have worked in the industry for a long, long period of time. So I would want to start off with their understanding of how ops has shaped or how operations has evolved over their careers first. So then we can understand more about how operations has come about. So then we can go over understanding what we see in the future. So I would like to start with Mr. Rajiv Ganju here to start off with how he has seen the operations evolve and what were the challenges which were there in the past and how did the companies overcome it.
So thank you. So thank you, Professor. So what an important topic these days. So all of you, before I start, very good morning to all of you. So I think big numbers and lot of diversity. So I'm so encouraged. And this is the right time for operations. We are saying that if India has to become globe number 3 economy, what we are talking these days, so one of the big thrust will be from operations. What we talk is supply chain. Everywhere it is discussed. Earlier, if we talk about, 15 years back or 10 years back, even 10 years back, supply chain was only in the shop floor. Today, it has come to the top floor. So there is no board meeting today which does not discuss about supply chain. Because when we were just started our journey of growth or liberalization, what we called, we focused on agriculture, we focused on service sector, and these were the sectors we were focusing on. But today, we think that if we have to become that global number 3, the main growth will come only in supply chain. This is the most important thing. That is why, so you are at right time, you are there in right place. So this is what the future has to be there. Anywhere you go, today if you check just do a sample survey of number of conferences held in Delhi NCR. You will see 80% is supply chain conferences. Everywhere, I can't find a day, like even like every time, I can't find a day when a conference is not happening. Now look at on other side, from where the supply chain erupted, Germany. If we talk about the theory of supply chain, who integrated it, before it was all shattered, like it was there, like from where we got the concept of 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and now we are discussing 5.0. There also you will see lot of focus on different pillars of supply chain continuously happening. Now, before we take discussion forward, so what was the best example of this operation or supply chain? You find it every day. Where? Was the kitchen of the house. And you see the transformation happening there. So, supply chain has 4 important elements, right? Identifying correct need. First is identifying correct need, right? To fulfill that need, correct procurement. Then, correct processing, or what we call as manufacturing. And finally, correct delivery. Right? These are the 4 elements. Don't you think it was happening in kitchen? And see, when there were no refrigerators, they knew what the correct demand is. They knew that without creating waste or obsolescence, what we call in our language, how much to process. Have you ever seen anybody who manages that kitchen saying that, okay, 2 extra guests came, I cannot feed them? No, they anticipated how much factor of safety we have to keep. Or have you ever seen that they used to throw 50% of kitchen material outside? Never. They knew how to process and recycle that waste. Right? So now see the evolution there. If you remember 10 years back, even a small commodity like egg, didn't we keep it for 15 days? So today, what are we doing? Even we need 1 egg, we call Blinkit. It comes in 5 minutes. We don't have any eggs in refrigerator. I think manufacturers are now thinking of eliminating egg tray from the refrigerator design. They are redesigning because, which means freshness and speed. This is the first, these are the 2 things what future supply chain is looking at. Everything should be fresh. And speed at which whoever is fast enough to deliver that, he will win the market. So, when we talk about speed and freshness is first, we have to identify the correct demand. Earlier, it used to happen in Excel sheet, it used to happen in meetings. We were dependent on salespeople, what they will say, demand planners. They also, we used to think they are God. Whatever they will create the demand, that is the gospel truth. That was wrong. Then came the science of forecasting techniques. Let us forecast. Let us use statistics. Let us use Six Sigma. Let us use regression. Let us use these kind of sciences of Six Sigma tools were introduced. Same thing got modified and we came to the science of machine learning. How can we use machine learning to identify the correct demand? After that, we thought, okay, machine learning, it's just 60-70% accurate because it also needs historical data. Then came a science called TOC. How many of you know TOC? Theory of constraints. So this was a big science which talked about dynamic buffers, creating near the point of demand, creating dynamic buffers. So now, it also is because it laid lot of pressure on end of the chain. So now future will be marriage between TOC and demand forecasting based ML. So already work is happening. So it will be machine learning, it will be artificial intelligence, it will be theory of constraint clubbed together, which we think will be greater than 90% understanding the demand. Then what was the second pillar? procurement. Imagine what was happening. Only negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. No discussion was developing the two-tier, focusing how to develop two-tier vendors, three-tier vendors. Nothing on, only negotiate, get cheaper price, get material on time, that is it. Even quality also sometimes ignored. But future will be development of that two-tier vendor system, development of three-tier vendor system in the ecosystem we are having. Because unless we focus, because any organization, 60% of the material which is required for processing will be from these tier 2 and tier 3 vendors. And we have to pay focus on them, and we have to analyze how they are working. So two signs will come into it. One is known as 100 ppm movement, which works how to develop this tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers. And second thing is, it is not only hardball negotiation. We have to co-work with them that like we are improving our productivity, let us improve their productivity. If we are improving our forecasting, let us improve their forecasting. And these kind of signs in a small way, how we can do there. And this is explained in the what we call as spend analysis signs. So we understand that if the global market is moving in this and we are moving like that, how we can minimize the gap and establish this vendor chain. Coming to manufacturing, I remember like when I used to work in LG, so I started my career there. So when I used to work in LG, so lot of material handling, lot of people on the line, all, and maximum the improvement was we were using air guns, wherein other industry that time used to still focus on manual screwdrivers. So we thought that we are advanced, we have air guns at least, so that we are better than them. So today, what future supply chain will be? Like Industry 4.0, you have seen a lot of focus on IIoT, Industrial Internet of Things, right? It talks about CNC, computerized numerically controlled machines. But what future will be? Future will be robotic process automation. How will we automate processes? How will we make process output foolproof? Today in IQC, nobody, why should human make a decision, go or no go? Let robotic process automation do that decision. Similarly, Industry 4.0, we talked about robotics. Robotic has certain limitation, right? So it can only penetrate through certain angle, even if it is a 360 finger robot. It cannot do certain undercover movements. So the concept came as cobot, which is collaborative robotics. Let people and robot work together. And then we call about AMRs, what is autonomous mobile robotic system. That if let robot itself understand what it has to do. How can we feed him always? It's very difficult to feed him always. So let robot on its own learn and how to do things and improve itself. Like we are improving through training human beings, through autonomous mobile robotic systems, the robot itself learns what he has to do for future. So similarly, like these are the systems, which means hardware as well as software of manufacturing will change. And finally, you know, lot of innovation is being done in supply chain. And it needs more and more improvement. Why? Globally, if we do the analysis, the supply chain cost we see around the globe is around 6 to 7%. We are still between 11 to 15%. High. Maybe one of the thing is infrastructure, our trucking system, the kind of fuel efficiency we develop, the kind of space optimization we do. So that is why the future will be multimodal logistics. There also a lot of these signs, what was only limited to industry, only was done, will now be implemented. And there also, even for counting, picking, everything, what was being done by humans will be done by drones. So drones will do that kind of counting. So even the delivery system, it's not a way that drones will deliver to your home. The package is what we are thinking. So speed will be enormous. Space optimization enormous, and government in Gati Shakti talks a lot about it. We'll have a universal logistics platform in which we understand. And maybe two, Samsung and LG will keep goods in one warehouse. Why do we need two separate spaces? So this is how the supply chain transformation we are looking at. And this is very important if we have to become global number 3. Sorry, I took a little bit long time, but so I thought I'll give the basics. So future is very right. This is the right time for operations people because we'll see a lot of growth there. Thank you so much.
Yes, Raghuram sir, your views on this, please. You've been working with Samsung and you are consulting right now, so you can actually give a perspective of what firms are actually seeking nowadays.
Yeah, good afternoon. Let me start with how, having spent almost 35 years, let me start with what this operations was looking like so many years back. When I started off with Hindustan Unilever now, and I was in a regional logistics role, regional planning role. There used to be a pink sheet, blue sheet, white sheet. So pink sheet means it's for demand planning, blue sheet for distribution planning, and completely manual, right? One can't even imagine, even I've forgotten how we used to do those days like that. So that was the elementary level of operations and supply chain which used to be happening in this country in a big company like Hindustan Lever. And those days Unilever itself used to be a big company. So even that was like that. From there to the journey and what we have seen in the last specifically in the last 1 decade or so, it's a real transformation which is already started happening. I always used to feel, if at all, because if you see in most of the other functions, marketing or product innovation, so a lot of things have already happened and products have already evolved. If a lot of optimizing, organizing, encouraging, working together with people, if these things were not happening and there is a lot of scope for that to happen, it is in operations. It is in supply chain. That's where a lot of scope is there for these two things to happen. I'll give you one example in Samsung of how a simple thing like logistics could add a huge value for business transformation. Somewhere 2015-16, when Samsung started selling mobiles in a big way in India around 2007-8. 13-14 is when it had reached a level where it started really relooking at what should we do now to go to the next level. The strategy from the headquarters, Korea, was that let's focus on the premium phones. Though the mass phones were the big numbers those days, number-wise that's big. But then start focusing on premium because that's going to be the future, which is rightly so those days planned. So the way value creation, and then I was heading the logistics, I was told how logistics will add value to this strategy. I mean, logistics typically years back used to be seen like, just do it, we do it. Sales and marketing is there to tell you, do it, you do it, that's it. Then what do you do to value create? So, but then what, with all the support from everyone from Korea also, the way we planned was to completely transform the processes. What used to be one single supply chain planning and logistics system for phones was completely split into two, right, end to end, for feature phones, for smartphones. So that really meant a lot of change in the way everything will be looked at, right from manufacturing, of course sourcing, manufacturing, post-manufacturing, identifying the product separately in these two streams. In the warehousing systems, creating separate systems to make sure that premium phones are kept separately, these are stored separately. In transportation, if it is a feature phone, it goes in typical trucks. If it is smartphone, it starts going in air. So that was one big change which was made. The air transportation of mobiles was started by Samsung that time in a big way, and today it is, I mean, it's doing fantastic services. Now, in that again, to the extent that that time I think S9 and S8, S9 was running. S9, if S9 is the phone, it will not miss even one single flight. It has to go by next flight. If it is S8, perhaps it can go by the evening flight. But the target is the next day it should reach the customer. It was direct supply to end consumers. Be it production used to be mostly in Noida or in Chennai. If it means you have to deliver it in Mumbai, you have to deliver it in Bangalore to the end consumer, it has to happen the next day. That was the value addition which even logistics could do to create speed, to support the strategy of making sure that focus is coming on the premium phones. That really gave a big fillip to the smartphones of Samsung, which is one of the reasons why it really got the premiumness in India. So, I mean, this is an example of what we think cannot be done, can actually be done if we put the minds together and do it. And as I already mentioned, there is lots and lots of scope. Like Rajiv also said, yes, supply chain has now become the topic. To the extent that many companies which used to have supply chain as part of their finance team, the end of the day, the supply chain will report to the CFO. Now that has changed a lot. Most companies have a separate supply chain stream, supply chain directors or vice presidents who report to the board. So that really speaks volume of the importance that is being given to this. And the amount of the innovations, as I mentioned, the synchronization, all which can be done, organizing things which can be done in operations are enormous. Post Samsung now, I'm actually working on the other side of the table. I'm advisor to the logistics company itself, which is Kerry Indev Logistics. So after all these 35 years, I'm now learning in terms of what are the real difficulties when you see it from the other side of the table. So it's easier said than done when it comes to real execution. And as we all keep talking, the skill set in the operating, in the executing logistics side is still poor. It used to be very poor. I would say it is improving now. But then that's where I'm also trying my best to add some value there in terms of creating more skills there. There again, lots and lots of value addition will come, because whatever has not been touched for years, you go and touch, easily you get gold. So there is a lot of scope there as well. We are trying to do certain things over there as well. So believe me, operations is a very, very fantastic area to be in. Very exciting days ahead. The infrastructure is improving, thankfully. A lot of governmental support is coming. National logistics policy has come in. So what is really lacking is process, getting the right processes in place. Co-working, like what is said, LG and Samsung, why can't it be doing it together? So the co-working, when it comes to logistics, you really need synchronizing and co-working. Synchronize means, I mean, you synchronize the processes in such a way that nobody impedes the speed in between. And co-working is where a lot of wastages can be avoided. Independently working, a lot of wastages creep in. That can be avoided when people work together. So these are the areas where possibly governmental support, policy supports will also help. So all the best to all of you for a great future in operations.
Thank you, Raghuram sir. So, yes, so logistics-wise, if you look at like what he said, it seems easy from the outside, but once you go in, it becomes very difficult and becomes very murky. And in the terms, if you look at terms of academics, it becomes uncertain. So the only job of a manager is to basically try and control that uncertainty as much as possible. Thank you for those views. Now to you, Mr. Vineet, actually, how have you seen the industry evolve?
Yeah, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to be speaking, sharing dais with people like Rajiv ji, Raghuraman ji, Harish ji, and Daman ji. And I mean, frankly speaking, as an engineer, I never got to speak in front of such a large crowd. In fact, During my engineering days, I used to try, something drama on stages. So my, face would turn red. I would not be able to speak at all. Yeah, so thanks to SIBM Pune, where I did MBA from 2008 to 2010, a fabulous place to study and learn. That gave me the strength and, courage to speak up. Yeah, and so while I'm speaking in front of you, I've been working for almost 16 years now in different functions of supply chain and operations. I mean, not as much as the senior folks with whom I'm sharing the dais. And I'm glad to be here with speaking in front of them. Yeah. So my experience, I did engineering from YMCA Institute of Engineering, Faridabad, very nearby, in mechanical engineering, and I got placed in a company named as Jai Bharat Maruti. It's a sister concern of Maruti Udyog Limited within the same campus in Gurugram district. In the terms of supply chain and operations, as shared by the other two members here, this was not a function which was really given the value it deserves. And it's not only that company, and I think it was the norm probably a decade or so, right? A decade ago or so. And today the difference is that the supply chain people are in the leadership and they get chair at the discussion tables and negotiation tables, right? Earlier, in the terms of transformation of how this particular function has evolved, I would say that, see, there are three main functions that contribute to the direct fulfillment of a service or a product to the customer. The first one would be the marketing team. The marketing would come up with a product proposition. What product do we need to, sell to the client, sell to the customer, as Rajiv was saying, right? So they do market research, understanding where is the need, what kind of product is required, how much the customer is willing to pay, right? Then comes the sales team that understands the geographies, the demographies, the places, the people whom we would sell our goods to. And then comes the supply chain and operations team. This team is an execution team and has always been so. But over the years, we have understood that supply chain is not only a basic function which fulfills the necessities of business to fulfill the products, deliver the products at right time, at right place, in right conditions to the customer, but also creating some sort of critical advantage for the business. My last few stints have been in startups. So I worked in Snapdeal. Then I worked in another company named as LimeRoad. Then lately it was in Sleepy Cat. These companies are new age companies, highly reliant on technology, very agile in their processes, people management, and they don't really have inertia, right? This is why they stand apart. So if you see e-commerce evolution over last 1 decade or so, have they created a new product for you? They have not, right? We still buy the same phone. The companies are the same that manufacture. But what has changed is the time of delivery, the sales channel, right? So when I did MBA, till that time, shopping malls used to be, the place where we would go and do shopping. I mean, not, sometimes you'd just do window shopping and come, right? So we would go to a shop which we would be spending a huge amount of money in managing that retail store, paying rent, people's salary, lighting, all the show off that is there, right? But does it deliver the product to your doorstep? No. You still have to go to the shopping mall. You still have to buy from the array of products that you have to personally sift through, right? But what has changed today is that you have sales channels. You just go to a particular app, right? For example, my previous company, that is Sleepy Cat. So Sleepy Cat has its own sales channel, that is sleepycat.com, sleepycat.in. Then there is flipkart.in, amazon.com, right? You can just go to their store, go to the online stores from your mobile phone, flip through the products, even compare, see ratings, and then choose a particular product, right? And one more value addition that we must understand is that earlier, let's say 15 years, I mean, when I joined Britannia as a management trainee, I used to sit through focus group discussions and understand what the homemakers feel about the bread products in, say, in Uttar Pradesh. I was in Lucknow and Kanpur doing the primary research for them. And that was a very, micro level view, right? How many people can you physically, meet, and how many group discussions can you really attend as a management trainee? And management trainees are actually highly paid and valued resources. They are the blue-eyed babies of the company, right? When you join, you would realize that. You get that kind of treatment, you feel like, oh my God, I'm so valued, right? And yeah, so these e-commerce companies or new companies actually give you the customer insights. If you don't like the product, you just give 1-star rating instead of 5-star ratings. And yesterday I was checking through phones and I want to buy a phone. So I was just seeing, so first thing I see is the star rating. And then I see how many people have given the rating there, 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, right? Statistically, it would be significant only if a good number of people have given the ratings, right? So the customer insights are coming because there is an alternative sales channel through e-commerce that has been created. And it is totally, I must say that, totally reliant on the technology and supply chain. These are the two main functions that have, added value there, right? So that's what we speak when we say that supply chain is not only a basic function, but also is a function that gives you strategic advantage, right? In the terms of planning, see, when there were a lot of people and there were very few companies in the market, so there were, human capital was more, so people were there, so people could afford to do, manual planning, as sir was saying, right? So those pink sheets, blue sheets, white sheet, or whatever. So you had the time, and you didn't have, nobody pushed you to do, use technology for planning, right? Thereafter came the era of, using Excel files for planning, right? So Excel, till today also, it's a very important tool to work on. It's a platform wherein you can build multiple models and optimization models, right? And from this learned the people who have designed and developed today's optimization tools, right? In between there came execution functions in ERP, for example, SAP is there. Then SAP has so many modules, material management modules, procurement module that sir was speaking, right? Then there is payment module, right? So all these modules are execution modules. Instead of doing entries in a register, you would want to do entry in a system which is easy to access. And you should be able to download reports to do the analytics, analyze where I stand as a business, where I stand in the, in the eyes of the customer, am I adding value to the customer, and what value am I bringing to the business, right? These are the execution model. Oracle has its own execution model. It's simply a tool that lets you enter the information, capture the information at different stages of operations, and that you can access as and when you want, right? And basis that reports used to be downloaded, and then they do some sort of analytics. What should be the safety stock level at different nodes of fulfillment? What should be the demand, right? What has been the demand? For example, you are fulfilling demand in 100 cities, right? Each city has different demand patterns, right? Then you aggregate it at a national level. Then you disaggregate to different factories level. Then you tell the factories that this is what you need to make, right? So these models used to exist. And then in last 5 years or so, apart from evolution of e-commerce as a fulfillment, mode, there's also evolution of individual planning tools. For example, there is a tool named as Blue Yonder. There is O9. In SAP, there is as SAP Integrated Business Planning, IBP. Right? Before that, it used to be SAP APO. I used to run SAP APO in HP. I used to be fascinated. How can the system tell me what SKU should be manufactured by which factory and should be fulfilled by which mode, or should it be integrated like air or ship or truck? For which particular distribution center, right? To that level of optimization it used to be. But we still had to input the demand. We still had to input the current inventory, which it would source from the local execution system, right? So we still had to decide the inputs and decide the output that we want. For example, 95% service level is what we wanted in each distribution center for A category SKUs, which are high volume runners, right? But that was still, there was, the system was still broken. Supply planning, someone else is doing, demand planning, someone else is doing, someone else is planning inventory and putting all this information in SAP APO. Today, it has reached to the next level, wherein the system gives you multiple scenarios that, hey, if you want to have 98% service level, and these are the variables which you have told me, I have not decided, these variables you should be having at this level, and this would be the cost of fulfillment, this should be the service level, this should be the supply service level from different parties, right? And now I think the era of integrated business planning, of course, SAP IBP has been around, and Kinex is another tool, is also an integrated module. So integrated planning in business will become a norm in times to come. Thereafter, people who have individual functions, individual specialization like demand planning, supply planning, may have to, realign their skills and understand more of some other functions, right? So yeah, this is where the technology is headed, and of course, with the rise of, artificial intelligence, machine learning, there would be transformation in the terms of both processes, how we fulfill the demand. For example, the way we take feedback, we don't have to go to the customer, running surveys. We don't send emails that you feel XYZ, survey monkeys, right? I mean, you guys would be using it, but that would not still be used, right? So that's where it is headed. And in the terms of process transformation, the process mapping in supply chain has been actually very evolved and very mature as compared to the other functions. I've seen that my sales peers in sales teams and marketing teams struggling with simple value stream maps or making simple Gantt charts for their own projects, right? But in operations, thanks to the evolution from the Japanese system such as Toyota production system or Live Goldratt, who's written Theory of Constraints, right? So process-wise, we are there. People-wise, we are there. People highly committed. But technology-wise is what is, one, it has to keep on evolving, and the people have to keep on realigning themselves to match the need of the hour. Companies still, I mean, in 1980s, if you see, companies were making money. In 2023, companies are making money. 100 years down the line, still companies would be making money. But where we would act as enablers is that we understand the technology and we realign our processes and ourselves as per the technology. Yeah, so that's pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vinit. There are two things which come out very clearly is the responsiveness, the e-commerce which has shaped the responsiveness. The responsiveness actually will drive the customer feedback. Like nobody goes to an offline store and then comes back home and uses Google Maps and gives a feedback there. I don't think any one of us has ever done that. We do that only if the experience is extremely bad, then only we'll do that entire thing. Otherwise, e-commerce feedback is easier because every time I order from Zomato, I immediately give a feedback whenever the food is delivered there, right? So these are the changes which will come forward, and we'll see how they go forward as well. And now I'll come to Mr. Daman, because he is in the area of resilience, and which will allow us to move into the future of this. So resilience is one of the key things every one of us would have heard it. I would like to hear his views on how has resilience changed? Has it changed at all in the last 5-10 years? And will it change in the next 5-10 years?
Great. Thank you very much. I'll give a minute view of the journey, and then I'll talk a little long on that. Resilience relatively is a new term. While we may find some people saying, I have 20 years of experience in resilience, I today say I have 2 decades of experience in resilience, but it was mainly business continuity. My journey of business continuity started about 18 years ago. Before that, I didn't know B of business continuity. And then I have learned a lot. So someone said, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. Learning and sharing is forever. I'm a lifelong learner myself. The first step in resilience has to be risk management. which we perhaps started millions of years ago. The day we were born, we started risk management. From there, we need to move, or we moved, or we have moved to enterprise risk management. And then it became GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Then came business continuity management. So most organizations perhaps today would stand, the one we have cleared risk, ERM, and GRC. BCM, business continuity management, is a journey for us starting now. And we'll find many organizations that will say, even that is about 10 years, 20 years journey for us. So continue doing that, please. It's not either or. It's and. And when I say that, the moment the next term came, which was operational resilience, which I believe relates easily to the group, with the group. It's old wine in the new bottle. That was the impression most of us had. But it's, once again, I'm saying it's not or, it's and. There is no operational resilience without business continuity management. But than that, we can add few more: IT disaster recovery, crisis management, incident management, cyber security, information security, etc., all put together. So it's all required. It's not any one of these. It's not or. I'm repeating this so many times because this has been a misconception. It's a new name for business continuity. So it's not new name. From BCM, let's move on to operational resilience. I'll talk a little more about that. Then achieve excellence in our operations. I talk of delivering excellence today. The theme is creating value. Creating value by delivering excellence to internal as well as external customers. It's both need to be taken care of. So if you are an organization, you need to take care of your customers for sure, but there is no customer care without employee care first. So employees are internal customers, even they need to be taken care of. So I'm repeating the steps, the journey as I said: risk management, enterprise risk management, GRC, governance, risk and compliance, to business continuity, to operational resilience, to operational excellence. Ultimate will be organizational resilience. Now this word resilience has been creating confusion for us because people use it loosely. I say that the world has not understood this correctly: organizational resilience. Business resilience, IT resilience, cyber resilience, operational resilience, financial resilience. There are so many words being used, but ultimate, once again I'm repeating, is organizational resilience. So that's the journey according to me, and it's a journey of transformation. No one today, according to me, is a zero on resilience, but no one can ever be 100% resilient either, because no one is perfect in this world, and there is always a possibility of improvement. This is what we need to do. This is what journey we need to go through. Coming to a little before organizational resilience, which is operational resilience. This term is about 3 years old in the world, especially coming from UK, especially coming from Bank of England. It's a mandate for BFSI sector, not only for banks, for financial sector in the UK, that organizations need to implement operational resilience. UK appears to be taking lead on some of these. So even before that, I think it was 2005, business continuity management was made mandatory there. Not for all organizations, but there is something called Civil Contingency Act. So those organizations on which there is huge dependency, most of us, all of us, citizens depend upon those. For example, police, hospital, ambulance, etc. They must have business continuity. That is the rule there. In about 10 years, last 10 years, UAE also has mandated business continuity. And in UAE, it is for all organizations. It's not only the civil organizations. It's all companies need to implement. The best that could happen for our country was what PM Modi said about 2 years ago, which was, I can't recollect the date, but his second 8 p.m. speech during COVID-19 pandemic period. He said all ministries must implement business continuity, should have business continuity plans. I guess, unfortunately, not much has changed, which tells us there is a long to go, a lot of work to be done. UK recently once again has taken lead, and there is an act coming up. The bill has been put into the parliament. They hope it will be passed, and 2025 it will become a rule for the country. All organizations must submit an annual statement. That's what is a requirement. Annual statement of their resilience status. So for resilience, risk is required, crisis is required, incident is required, cyber information is required, business continuity is required. It's not either or. To talk about the next step, which is ultimate, I say organizational resilience. I would like to give an example. I'm assuming, but I'm still looking at the vote. Quick one. Raise hand, please. Everyone may not be right question. Okay. Who all drive a four-wheeler? Most. Own, I'm not asking own, but if you drive, even if someone else in the family owns, have you been to the service station once? Hands up again. Many hands going up. Okay, so the next question, which may be the last one, don't worry, right? I'm not going to ask many. What do they do when you go to the service station with your vehicle? What do they do? Sorry? Okay, good one. But it's not matching with what is on the computer, so you don't win 7 crore. We are playing KBC. All right, I hope it's not new. Everyone knows KBC. I didn't tell, but that's what is happening now. You have answered 15 questions correctly. You're on 16th. I believe 7 crore is the stake. So what do they do? To your vehicle, four-wheeler specifically I'm talking about, a car, assume, when you take it to the service station. And they find 10 more other problems. Good one, right? Yeah, more please. It's still not matching for 7 crore. They ask the history, or they already have the history of your vehicle on the system, and they tell you. Even if you don't know, they will tell this was the problem last time and this is what we had done. More please. This question has been asked globally by me in all my trainings, all my sessions, and mostly responses come fast. And these are not the responses. First response that easily comes is, Daman, they give me a big bill. That's what they do, which is right. They give you a big bill, but for what? They do some work for sure. Right? You won't pay them money for nothing. Yes, hand going up. Yes, please. You have to shout. Very good. Very good. Yeah, sit down, please. They do a lot. All this also, add many without being there. All those problems also, old history as well, etc., etc. This is what you got last time. Why don't you get this time also, all right? Okay, something like that. 2 of the activities that they do is wheel balancing and wheel alignment. What is the importance of wheel balancing and wheel alignment for your car? Yes, please. Right. Very good. Very good. What if the wheels are not balanced or aligned? Yes, please. Very good. Very good. So the car doesn't stop working, but the efficiency goes down. Am I right? If the tires are worn, uneven, right? The efficiency of the vehicle goes down. Now this vehicle is the organization. By the way, organization is not car. Organization is a monster truck. Have you seen monster trucks? Not 4 wheels, 20 giant wheels. And these wheels need to be kept in balance and in alignment to the strategy, the vision, the goal of the organization. This is what organizational resilience is. This is what the scope is. People ask me, Daman, how long does it take? Forever. It's not a project, it's a program. It's a journey of transformation, I said earlier also. Once you start it, you will have to continue on it. No one is perfect, you will keep improving. What are those 20 giant wheels? The 20 departments. Procurement will be there, supply chain will be there, manufacturing will be there, sales will be there, delivery will be there, all put together, HR, IT. And when we were talking, a lot has been discussed during the theme about supply chain. So operational resilience, this is how the change is coming. In the past, including business continuity, which I have done across globe, we talked about supply chain and we would say third parties, vendors. Third parties is another name used. And we did third parties. Operational resilience is asking to go to fourth, fifth, and sixth party also. This is what the future is. This is what the change is happening or is expected. It could be seventh, eighth also. There may be 100. Because there is a supplier, there is a supplier's supplier, there is supplier, supplier, suppliers. All need to be resilient, then only you will be resilient. Your operations depend upon them. And our dependencies are increasing. Our dependencies on technology are increasing. All speakers before me have talked about that. This is what the transformation is. This is what the change is happening. When the dependency on technology is increasing, when the dependency on vendors or suppliers is increasing, the chances of failure also are increasing. That's what the importance of resilience or operational resilience or organizational resilience is. What is resilience? Last question. Okay, I said 3, but there is 4th one also. Anyone, quickly. You can find from Google also. There are so many books. Officially, they will be a little long. In short, simplest form, I would say, ability of the person, you, me, we, or the organization to bounce back. Ability or capability to bounce back after a disaster. The change that I'm expecting, this is not what's happening in the world yet, this is what I have started saying. We need to be resilient during BAU also, not only after disasters. There is a word here which is called thriving. The expectation from resilience, operational resilience or organizational resilience is to be doing better, not only surviving. Business continuity taught us surviving, doing the basic minimum. Resilience, operational resilience, organizational resilience says not only surviving but thriving, which is the word here. There's a lot to be done. It's a long topic. I can spend days and days on this, but in short journey, I'm repeating that first line. Risk, enterprise risk management, GRC, governance, risks and compliance, business continuity, operational resilience, business excellence, and organizational resilience. But my expectation from the world, and you are the younger generation, this is up to you. You have to do this for us, for this country and for this world. Being resilient during BAU also. An example is from a hospital. This is what our country is. It may not be in other countries. That when you go there, you can pay up to 2 lakh in cash. But when you're leaving hospital, if a refund is due to you, you will get only up to 10,000 in cash. That means hospital is not taking care of me, the customer. I'm a customer, I'm a patient or patient's caretaker. But this is RBI's rule. That means even RBI is not a resilient company. Any company that is not customer caring is not a resilient company, whatever we may do with our IT system, processes, technologies, etc. First of all, we need to take care of people, customer. So I'm saying being resilient during BAU also. This is only one example. I have at least 12 cases, not only from India, from other countries also. Today we do not have time to talk about that, but I have written, happy to share with you all if you want to learn. At least 12 cases I'm saying, live cases, when the company is not resilient. Example, I'll say Toyota, for example. So I'm not talking of Toyota as a whole. I'm talking of one particular process of Toyota that I have experienced. Based on that, maybe that process is not resilient or is not resilient enough, because in resiliency we need to test. Perhaps that process has not been tested or has not been tested enough. All this is part of resilience, operational resilience, organizational resilience. I would like to stop here in the interest of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dhawan. So resilience, yes, it is a very big topic, and we'll continue with that actually, because we are running out of time, but we can have at least one round surely for this. Like he said, there are two stakeholders, the internal and the external ones. Customers, everyone takes care of. People are the important part. And when we go towards 5.0, 4.0 was early talking about removing people, getting automation done. And operations is one of the biggest employers. So operations employs a lot of people across the board. So in the next round with the panelists, I want to talk about two things. What will happen to our employees in Industry 5.0? And regards value creation, sustainability is usually thought of as a value loss. That means I'm doing something which is not gaining something for me. So how do they view sustainability as a value creation activity? How do they think of employees in this particular perspective of Industry 5.0? And how do you think all of those comes together in the resilience part?
So I think, so thank you for asking that question. This, I think, is in a lot of curious minds, especially when the chat GPT came. What will happen to people, right? So everybody is asking that, like even I've seen fantastic coders, so who used to take 3 days, 4 days to write a code. So it takes them just 1 hour because they get it from chat GPT. So in the organization, you can see that a lot of EAs, they are fearing the job cut because all the work of EA is done by ChatGPT now. So many more, like somebody that we just now saw, good presentations have to come, made by ChatGPT now. So any BI, so Power BI, everything, they are scared. Like everything will be in ChatGPT, GPT, and it will do those kind of things. But that's not the case. This was the fear when computers came to India. So when computers came to world, so fear was that humans will lose. So it is not there. So only thing what is going to happen is that we have to, like we are talking about smart cities, smart homes, smart factories, smart supply chains. But core of every process which is smart people. So only thing will change in future is nature of job. So which means that to stay relevant, we have to continuously upgrade our skills. So for anything to become smart, first people have to become smart. So your nature of job will change. For example, like there's a recent, McKinsey has done, it was told to us also, McKinsey has done that how the jobs 20 years or 30 years from now will look like. He told like people will be doing 5 jobs at one go. So 2 hours here, 2 hours here, 2 hours here, 2 hours here. Because that is the kind of core competence they will be having, and those kind of course you may not have permanent employment for a long time, but you will have multiple employment will become 30 years from now. It will be easily understood. Today we can't say that. How is it possible that can a person work in 2 organizations? Recently we heard a lot of cases, especially from software industry. So those being done, and we call them unethical practices, but tomorrow they will become ethical practices. So only thing we have to do, never humans are always required, because if we don't create those processes, who will create them? Ultimately, one good thing which God has given us is that one is we have emotionally controlled brain network, which we call it, and there is one important system what we talk, and I think it should, the future management, lot of concept will come of neuro management, we call it. So all of us should be tuned to neuro management, because day by day this, you have heard of mental illness and all. So all this is coming because we have not understood our brain correctly. So that is why today a lot of good organizations are focusing on neuro management. So how will we build? Because when we see so many things, first we have to understand our brain. And if we talk about brain, we have three important elements in brain. We call it as, first is amygdala, and then we call it as neocortex, and then is the brain stem. And they say that we know logical brain is of course the neocortex, but it wakes up late. Tab tak kaand ho gaya hota hai, right? So most of the decisions we take is through amygdala, and amygdala is just like a camera. So that is how we have to train our amygdala to react positively. That is, we say good reading, increasing competence, understanding people, staying with positivity, creating positivity around. So neuroscience is important thing, and in neuroscience is first understanding. That's why in a lot of management today we talk about self-introspection, right? And yoga, meditation is talked about. Many organizations are practicing it. Trust me, like we in our organization, this is compulsory to do yoga. In a day, we do this yoga 3-4 times, because you can't continuity. They think that efficiency improves with these kind of things. So we encourage doing meditation. So this is the kind first. So these are the new skills. Have we ever heard neuro management will come? Engineers like us will have to study medicine and understand brain. So this is compulsory in today's model. So what I mean to say is, like, competency and skills have to be upgraded. But thinking that humans will become totally obsolete, never possible. Job, we think one job going there and it is lifelong, that may change. Quality of job may change, quantity may change, but job will be always there. Job will be always there, because ultimately there is nothing, the best robot world has ever created, God has ever created, is human being. Nobody else can make such kind of a robot with so much of emotional intelligence, physical intelligence, and nobody, we cannot create a robot like that. It's not possible. So humans will be always relevant. So I don't think the job nature, I have attended that McKinsey session in which only nature will change, competence will change, self-introspection is important, training our brain, training our amygdala, training our neocortex as per that is more important. And lastly, I would say that always we never understood what mental health is. It's a very, very critical thing, and it is becoming more and more relevant, especially for youngsters. So I think we should keep watch on our mental health, and there is no harm in taking a second advice to see that our mental health is always right. The second question was asked on sustainability. So we know hydrocarbon will last for 40 years, so estimated just 40 years. I don't know how it extends, but every time we estimate that hydrocarbon fuel is going to finish, but this time the latest estimate is in next 40 years, what is productive hydrocarbon fuel? Hydrocarbon is everywhere, but extracting it is also, we have to see, is it productive? Is it cost efficient? So that is how this lot of focus is coming on sustainability. One is because that hydrocarbon will finish. Second thing is, if we see ozone depletion, we have studied about greenhouse gases effect, and we have seen that how it is changing temperature. Anybody has idea, like if we continue like this, how will the global temperature, what will be impact on global temperature? Around 2 degrees, they say it will be around 2 degrees. Looks very normal, right? क्या दिल्ली में 40 से 42 हो जाएगा, right? It is not, it is average. So look at this, it is average. Somewhere it will be 10 degrees, somewhere it will be cold. Wherever it is minus 10 degrees, see the kind of impact it will have. Where it is plus 10 degrees, it will be non-habitable. So it is not possible to live at 55 like to 60 degree temperature. It will be, our land will become non-habitable. And if it keeps on depleting like this, you can imagine. So important is not that we have to be neutral. No. It is not we are saying we have to be carbon neutral, no. Most of it, by the way, we know is because of carbon dioxide. So why this happens? So we are all saying we should become carbon neutral, no. But we have to become positive. Like we had not only we have to become neutral, but we have to give positive impact to it. How it can happen? That all our operation industry has to work on sustainability, and we don't have to say that we are neutral. We have to create positive impact on that. Policies are being framed on that. We have seen we are party to International Solar Alliance. We can contribute a lot. God has given us, we are near the equator, we have a lot of sunshine. It is at good incidence angle, which can create a lot of solar efficiency, and we can export this energy to the globe, and you can imagine how much we'll prosper. Like today, hydrocarbon countries are there. Tomorrow we'll be there if we generate this clean energy and globally export it. So we have to focus on those kind of things. Then water. Not only we have to see that energy on water, we have to see how do we conserve. Has anybody seen that recently there's a company by the name WaterGen? Has anybody heard of that? You just plug it, it breaks air into water, and it gives you clean water how much you want. So look at technology. Why do you need clean water from the ground? Why do you require it from river? You can take it from air, you can break air. So, and in the process, you are reducing carbon dioxide in this thing and improving, because what do you require most, which we have abundance in, hydrogen. So it is taken out. So these kind of processes, tomorrow the time will come when we will take this from air, and that is what the experiment is being done on moon also, right? It's not that oxygen will be there. It is because enough of hydrogen is there, and there are binded oxygen particles inside the crust there. So they will club that. So it is alternate water formation will happen there. So same thing, we have to conserve water. And lastly, like you have seen that Himachal is the latest example. What we have seen that when we alter too much of interference into the geostructure of our crust, so what will happen? So we have to protect that. We have to give this, we owe it to the next generations. We have to give them planet the way we got it. They deserve to get the planet in the same way. So in future, the government is also working on it. It will not be neutrality. It will be positively contributing to sustainability, whether it is the natural resources like water, air, but also like less emission of carbon dioxide and release of more and more oxygen into the atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your views. I think we're running short of time. I would just request speakers to keep it a little bit short. Yes, so we're like, okay.
Okay. The first point was on the jobs, right? On all the technological improvements coming in, how it possibly likely to affect jobs. If in the last, like I mentioned about the journey I have gone through in terms of starting with pink sheets to all this, 4 times at least in life I thought I would lose jobs, but I never lost job. Okay, the way I've seen the developments which have happened. So if at all, it has actually created more jobs in operations. And that's because you really start analyzing things, you really start adding value. And supply chain from what was like just do it has already reached the board, as we discussed. And I feel, in fact, I have started doing a little bit in these lines in my new role, that it's time now that for supply chains and operations start questioning the business. It's not just now participating, it's now to start questioning and doing it in my own way. When I say this, it's like if some business wants, strategy wants some 100 units to be done. So far it was just do it. Now it's like, should it be 100 or should it be 90? Going forward, should it be, yes, 90, agreed, but 90, I will do it in my own way. Supply chain will design and do operations and processes in my own way. End of the day, that 90 will happen. But today it is like a lot of, when I try to do it in a collaborative or the way you want, a lot of wastages are snipping in. And those wastages I'm not able to remove. I will be able to remove because I have visibility to it. So it will be done in my way. So this is the next level of value addition, value creation, I think operations can do. I'll give you one example in this quickly. Very, very, very basic level, but it was an eye-opening for me. That's when I said I am learning. When I now start consulting for the logistics companies and ask them why always logistics is looked at as inefficient or not adding value, their complaint, which is true, is most of the companies in the country do their 40 to 50% of their sales in the last week of the month. Out of that 50%, maybe at least 25% of the month happens in the last 2 or 3 days. Now, as consumers, do we go to the market on the 29th and 30th and buy every stuff? We don't. But why is this? That's because of the way the whole sales and operation system, the distribution system in the country operates. And with only 20% being organized sale, 80% is mom and pop still, that's the crux of the problem. The way you discount your products, the way you give discounts to the distributors, they know that you are going to come to me on the 29th and give me discount, so they are waiting for that. Orders come late, then it's a vicious cycle. So this is where I really figured out that this is the time for operations to now start questioning, which is what I meant earlier, where I will plan it my own way. You tell me what is required, but I will not do it this way. That's the level where operations can reach to. Why I'm saying this is, if these things which has never been done in the past has to be done, don't worry about jobs at all. That's the point. So I'm sure value addition and value creation from operations is going to be humongous, and we need to become innovative. We need to really start thinking very, very deep into every aspect of supply chain. Therefore, we'll be able to add value and retain our jobs. Quickly on sustainability, I think yes, enough has been covered already. I mean, if again, like the same example, if each one of us start thinking every day, every minute on, am I creating a problem to the environment? What can I do in every bit of my life? If it is going to affect me today, that's okay, but then I want this world to be more sustainable. The good example is recent Hindustan Lever's efforts in propagating people that please don't use showers if you are traveling, unless you are traveling. Please use bucket to take your bath. Possibly they may be losing 1% of the soap consumption because of that, but they are not bothered about that. They have actually started propagating that by using water through bucket when you are bath, you are saving 25% of water. So please do that. So that's it's looking at impact on you versus what is the impact on the overall environment. So I would urge that all of us start thinking, I will not go further into, there is no time, in every aspect of what we are doing. If we start thinking, we'll be adding to the sustainability. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Gavara. Mr. Vineet, could you focus a bit on sustainability itself? The jobs, I think we have covered very comprehensively by now.
Yeah, so as Raghuraman sir was saying that yes, sustainability will become the norm, and it will become the necessity for every business to survive. The Government of India brought several rules like e-waste management rules, plastic waste management rules, and sir is better to speak about this. I would still say that if all the companies become really compliant with all the rules, and then think that whether they are adding value to the environment or being a destructive force, then they would add the value. Then they would add the value to the whole society, and we will have a better place to live. We can make this earth a better place to live, right? Not only for ourselves, but for future generations to come. And that's all this is what definition of sustainability is. If you see the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations also, they all, 17 goals were there, they all talk about this. Yeah. So it will not be a choice anymore. I mean, we are in a position as the world, as a globe, that we have to opt for sustainable means. Otherwise, not only companies will suffer, but also the entire world will suffer. And there is a developed versus developing countries divide, that the developing countries should get the technologies from the developed countries, because the developing countries are still at nascent stages of their developments, while developed countries have historical responsibilities. They have already polluted the world and improved their development index, became rich and sophisticated. They have to come on board and support the developing countries, share the technologies, while the developing countries need not reinvent the wheel, need not do the same things, need not traverse the same path to development through sustainability. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Vinit. Last few comments from you, and then possibly we can take a couple of questions. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Thanks to fellow speakers for assuring that my job is not at stake. I also think so, I also believe so. But we should not be complacent. We need to work on sustainability, we need to work on resilience. Point about AI. AI is good, there is no doubt about it, but I'm not overwhelmed by AI. I use my eye and my eye before and after the AI. This is how we will be resilient, this is how we will be sustainable, whether with respect to jobs or otherwise. When I think of sustainability, I don't think environmental sustainability only. Sustainability, according to me, for me, is the overall sustainability, the business sustainability, for which business continuity, resilience is important, is required. This is how I would like to say in the limited time that we have. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hello. Hi, I'm Raghav Zoshi. This is actually a small conversation I had with one of my friends. He's in supply chain. The thing was, he said that he had developed a very complex model to enhance the second tier and third tier suppliers and vendors so that they can increase their total revenue. But when he showed that model to his boss, they said that this is not a very applicable model, and because of its complexity, you need to rework on it or maybe drop it. It was his personal project, so it was not a very affected the company. But I would like to know what are your thoughts on the part of the complexity of the model and how cannot be it applied to the second tier and third tier vendors.
So you'll have to describe what the software, what is the complexity, or what is that software about? What was the model, unless we understand?
It was in my mobile, and I had not my mobile with me.
So anyway, it is like if whatever if it increases efficiency, like normally the perception looks like that tier 2 and tier 3 vendors, adaptability to those modern techniques or digitization is less, but times have changed. So even I see, I am an active speaker in CII, I see today many tier 2, tier 3 people are there who are fighting that they want to become digitized, they want to adapt this modern technology. So trust me that nobody, like while we say that technology has its own good things, bad things, we all know that, but can we stay out of technology? It's not possible. We have to be with technology, and I think whatever that software is, if made simpler, it will have its market with tier 2 and tier 3. Trust me on that.
Hello. So my name is Dipanshu, and I just wanted to ask, like during the discussion, you mentioned that technology has, I'll stand. So technology has provided a very good value creation, but to unpredictable time like COVID, like situations that happens overnight. So how can we tackle them, like in this sector of operations and supply chain?
So I think COVID time technology, the best use of technology evolved during that time. Imagine that we only thought, even as professionals, we thought maximum productivity is when we are in the office, we are in the factory. Imagine at COVID time that what we have today, Teams, we have Google Chats, we have Zoom, who understood that virtually the productivity will improve. And you imagine the world of today. Today we are looking at hybrid system. No organization today which is totally either online or offline, but at least either it will be online, offline, but you will find a hybrid model somewhere. We have learned the hybrid model, and I think during COVID times also the technology was put to best use when we saw that there was some danger to humans. So a lot of virtual management was done. So I think it itself suffices that whenever like we have problem, whenever we face difficulties, technology can be utilized. Technology is always a friend, it helps.
So when we talk of COVID-19 pandemic specifically, let's admit that no one was prepared for it in the world. The way it happened overnight, and overnight lockdown had to be announced. There was no other way but to work from home. Work from home has its own challenges. I have my views which are different from many people in the world. I've done some research, study available if you want to have a look. And those negative points of work from home are related to mental. So resilience, my tagline is, we used to say in the past, people make organizations. I have made a little change in this. Resilient people make resilient organizations. To be resilient, I need to focus on 4 areas. I need to be strong physically. I may not look like, but I work on that. I'm working on that, right? I need to be strong physically. I need to be strong mentally, and work from home has impacted a lot here. Emotional impact analysis is what I'm recommending. I need to be strong commercially, financially also. So pay me well, please. My organizations, please listen to that. And I need to be strong spiritually also. I'm not saying religion, spiritually. And that's why those mindful sessions that he was mentioning have started. Yoga helps, mindfulness helps, and meditation helps. Please keep doing that. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good afternoon to the esteemed panelists. It's an honor to listen to all of you. So a lot has been talked today about machine learning and artificial intelligence. So I just wanted to understand how much space that has left for the human intervention.
Humans only design it. So there's no machine learning without a human, right? So ultimately, these are misunderstood words, artificial intelligence and machine learning. These are misunderstood words. Actual is the algo used. Who develops that algo? Humans. How does that algo comes? From the nature of data sciences. So have we not seen that what is the best way of problem solving? It came from that science, which is an age-old science, right? We understood it came from Kepler-Trago, who gave Trago analysis. Then Wilfredo Pareto, he gave Pareto analysis, right? Then we talked about more modern version of it came Six Sigma. So ultimately, there are 4 steps to understand. Define a problem, right? Measure a problem. Analyze a problem, improve a problem, control a problem, which we call as DMAC approach. So same with that DMAC approach, you collect some data, what we call as big data, create those algos, and these algos are not there for long. They have to be changed by humans. So ultimately, human intervention will always be there. Data scientists are you guys. There's no data science in AI and ML. Data scientist creates AI and ML. So please don't get these misnomers wrong. Ultimately, data scientists will only make AI and ML. It is not some rocket science which will come from heaven. Thank you.
Machines cannot reproduce, not yet. So a lot of scope is left for human being. While looking at the population, the problem, big challenge that we have in the world and in India also. So I'll give my example. About 29 years ago, when we got married, we decided we'll have only one, whether boy or girl, but we'll have only one, and we have only one, while we know there's a lot of pressure from family, relatives, friends, society, a lot. But decide and continue. I say take a decision and own it. So scope is still left. Not yet, not worried by machines, etc. Use your eye and your eye before and after the AI. That's how we are.
Thank you for the esteemed panelists for their views as such.
So this
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. It has been a lovely session till now. So, as Mr. Vineet, you did put up the points regarding how ERP solutions have come into effect in analyzing the data points that we have and optimizing the data sets to understand the demand points which we can analyze using the different stocks that we have at different points. But since I was in ERP solutions and there was a lot of focus on the stock that a single company has rather than the procurement on how the raw material should be procured, because it also depends on the supply that that company has. And I think that's where blockchain comes into effect, so to understand the different data points from which we can manipulate, accumulate the data and analyze how those data points can be executed throughout the process so that we can meet the demands. But blockchain is a certain technology that requires a huge amount of investment, and rather than the monetary investment that is required, it requires a lot of manpower and a lot of data points that needs to be managed to suffice the demands over the longer term. What are your points about the application of blockchain and the use of it over the longer term to manage the supply chain going forward regarding the procurement processes?
Yeah, see, supply chain professionals and supply chain function as such is evolving and improving the technology from being rudimentary to I would say somewhere advanced levels. Blockchain would be the next level. It's still the most of companies, I mean my clients for which I have worked and the companies where I have worked, none of them has been using blockchain as of now. Blockchain is still an evolving technology under discussions. And the simplest reason behind it is that it requires, see, unlike a logic that you build and that logic lasts for a few years and it's an solving optimization problems. Blockchain requires continuous evolution, continuous learning by the person who would design that. And then the users, in case of say supply chain optimization problems, are very specific, limited. For example, the procurement planner, there'll be one procurement planner or maybe two procurement planners in a company, right? They will get to understand the logic, and actually it's difficult to say. Logic understanding is also a very difficult part, right? So the utility of the optimized model that has been given to the planner itself is low. And many a time, due to inertia, people get back to their old ways of solving the problem. That is using Excel models, using their pens and papers, using their simple Excel. Because human mind, as someone was speaking, right, is designed to get answers in yes and no. It does not want to see multiple answers to your question, right? We want to get an answer of yes and no, and that's where the blockchain will be, way ahead of our times today. First, we start using the optimized models. Then we start using the optimization independent modules that I was talking about, like say SAP Ariba for procurement. Then we go to integrated models, wherein we get the multiple output solutions and we decide one of the solutions, and then would come the phase of blockchain. Thank you.
Any more questions? Or do we have time? I think I have to take permission from the club here. Okay, thank you. So if there is any more questions, we can take it offline possibly. I'm very thankful to the esteemed panelists for enlightening this particular session here. Yes, jobs will not go away. Jobs are there. Maybe you need to upskill yourself. You cannot be in a particular single state of mind and expect things to continue for a long period of time. I think by now you would have known that. And as such, sustainability is a big thing. It is definitely going to be a very important key factor. Compliances will also increase with the government adding more and more regulations. And when that happens, obviously the persons involved, the people involved, start having more and more responsibility here. I would like to close the session here with this particular, with a few sentences as such. But as such, as managers, always be prepared for uncertainty and be resilient yourself. Okay. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers for taking time from their busy schedule and sharing their valuable insight and expertise. After the session, we feel relatively more aware of how businesses should be able to switch gears quickly and bring in fresh perspectives. I would like to once again thank our moderator, Professor Harish Rao, for consenting to be the moderator for the session and for making the session highly interactive. Now, I would request Professor Harish Rao to present the respective panelists with a token of gratitude. Mr. Rajiv Ganju. Mr. K.G. Raghuraman.